One thing you guys need to do, no matter what form of the service world you're in, if you're a listener, I encourage you today, just stop. Take the day off, or maybe tomorrow morning, take the day off, and tell all your associates you're going to walk through your client's journey. And you go figure out, where's that starting? Is it social media? Is it a referral? Is it your building location and you're on a freeway, you got a big name? Where do they first find out about you? And from that moment forward, trace that customer journey, walk those client steps. Take that checklist in the back of my book and go through it and say, are we in alignment? Walk the whole thing.
Welcome to the Intangible Brand, where we explore the connection between employee experience and client experience and the hidden forces that make brands stick. I'm Jerry Gennaria, and I'm joined by my co-host, Carl Winstead. And today we're joined by Brandon Coleman Jr. Brandon's a brand strategist, author, speaker, who's helped fuel success on thousands of brand alignment engagements across many different industries spanning 5 decades. He's launched, led, and sold one of the most successful mid-sized strategic branding firms in the country. And he's the author of Brand On, a book that challenges traditional marketing mindsets and argues for making brand a living, breathing part of the business. We're looking forward to digging into his ideas about how culture, behavior, and brand all intersect. So, Brandon, thanks for being here with us today.
I'm honored to be a guest. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Brandon, it's awesome to meet you. I love the book. I now have somebody that has a personal connection to Buc-ee's. Like, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's way cool.
Never thought I'd do that. But I know we'll talk about the book a lot. But before we dive into that, let's maybe give our listeners just a little context. Tell us maybe about yourself and the path that brought you into this work.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think one of the mistakes a lot of podcast guests make is when they get introduced, they tell a 15-minute story about themselves and their journey, and really nobody gives a what about that. So I'm going to make mine really, really, really brief in relation to others. Born the son of a Hall of Fame high school basketball coach, was in World Tennis Magazine at 3 years old, so didn't have much of a choice. Serve tennis balls, make free throws, then you get dinner kind of thing. Learned about dedication, discipline, and excellence. I think one of the things my father taught me that a lot of people today think is not right, but I still believe in my core it is. I love winning. I hate losing. And that makes my clients great. And they love me because of that, because I want them to be winners. And at the end of the day, everybody deep down inside wants to be a winner. And those that tell you they don't are lying or hiding some. So I got that ingrained in my life through athletics. Went to Texas A&M on a tennis scholarship. Walked off the court one day, realized my dad wasn't kicking my ass anymore. Turned around and thought, is there anything in this world other than being a jock? Went to the dorm, left the tennis court, went to the dorm, watched the 4 shows we watched in the 70s. Leave It to Beaver, Beverly Hillbillies, Gilligan's Island, and Bewitched. And if you will remember, Darren Stevens, the husband of the witch, worked for
advertising.
Worked for Tate Ad Agency, correct? Yeah. And I watched him. He would turn back portfolios and presentations and talk about ideas. I have no clue, guys, why, but God put something inside of me. He said, that's what I need to be doing. So I go to English the next day. I was a non-declared major. I was a jock, non-declared major. I walk in. I asked my English prof. I said, do you ever watch Bewitched? She goes, oh, sure. I said, what does Darren Stevens do? She says, he worked for an ad agency. Why do you ask? I said, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. And she goes, yeah, right. Well, okay. I said, so what do I got to major in? She said, well, you could either go liberal arts or business marketing. The new thought is business marketing because you need the business strategy and background. But most of those people go to liberal arts journalism and go out in the ad world, which everybody I competed against in the day did. I didn't. Interviewed both deans, went the business route. And, I still to this day have a giant frame picture of Elizabeth Montgomery and Darren Stevens autographed by them and was my inspiration. So fun time. And I got recruited out of college by Procter & Gamble. I believe your last guest was from there.
Yeah.
And the recruiter sat there I walked in the room. He shook my hand, didn't say a word, stared at me cold for about 30 seconds, made me feel uncomfortable, slid me an ashtray across the back of the day. There were ashtrays, slid an ashtray across the table and said, "Coleman, sell me this ashtray." I looked at him and slid it back across the table. I said, "Sir, I can't sell you that ashtray. You don't smoke." He looked at me and he said, "You're too damn creative to go to work for Procter and Gamble." So I didn't get that job. We became dear friends, had a lot of fun cutting up. The interview was over, dead over. And I went to work for an ad agency. And 1 year into it, a really wasted oil man in the middle of the night at a Christmas party goes, "When are you going to start your own firm, son?" I said, "Sir, in about 5 years." He goes, "5 years, my ass. I'm going to give you 2 weeks to get me a pro forma statement." On the way home, I stopped for a payphone on the freeway. There were no cell phones.
Mhm.
And I called a girl I was dating. There was a CPA. And I said, "Hey, Sandy." She goes, "Are you okay?" I said, because it's like 1 in the morning. And I said, "Yeah, I think I got a chance to start my company. What the hell is a pro forma statement?" Long story short, they invested in me. I bought them out a year later. I sold the firm 20 years later. And we were just blessed. It's been an amazing journey. After that time, I've done a lot of private. I'll do about one big gig a year. I'm very selective about what that is. I look for companies that have great potential. They might be small. It might be a $5 million company I take to a $100 million company. It might be a company that was $100,000 I took to $35 million. It might be somebody already at $150 million that we double their business. But it's not just money and it's not just size. The people got to be right. The purpose has to be right. As your last guest so well noted, it's all about the purpose. And, and so, I'll do a gig a year, maybe 2 gigs on some year. I have a blast. I've chased my kids' careers, which they've been amazing young people. And I've got a great late life wife. And we love living. And it's, I'm blessed to be alive and I'm grateful to be on this show, guys.
That's
Right.
awesome. Well, Brandon, we're really excited to talk to you about the book. And I'm curious, was there like a specific moment when you knew that the book needed to be written? Or has this been something that's just been, I don't know, like building up until it reached a point where you had to get it out of you?
I think it is an exact combination of both. I think you're spot on the money. So here it is. There's a picture of it. Brand on. It's funny. Some people I'll give it to them. I hand it to them. Here, I'll autograph it, and they'll look at it for a minute, and they go, "Oh, I get it. That's your name." Okay, you might need some branding help. When I sold my firm and walked out the door for the last day, my right arm, a lady named Debbie Casper, who's phenomenal talent, looks at me and goes, "Okay, get the book out immediately because you've got too many stories to tell." And I said, "I'll get it done." Well, my son gets discovered as a phenom race car driver, like literally within a couple months of that. And so my life takes a different direction. And I'd sit at racetracks all over North America thinking about writing a book. When your son's on the track at 180 miles an hour, you can't think about writing a book.
Right.
So I just tabled the idea, went through that journey. And when he left NASCAR, came back and bought a business, helped him turn that around and something that he could run for the rest of his life. And we had a great fun doing that. And so I again didn't write the book. And here I come 20 something years after selling my firm. And it, like you noted, built up. And I said, and my wife goes, "Man, you got a lot of stories. Please write the book." And so I thought, okay, I'm writing. And then COVID came and I still didn't write the book. And then I waited another year and I go, okay, I'm bored. I'm writing the book. So wrote the book. I actually reached out to clients I had not talked to in 30 years. And they would go, like, "Why the hell are you calling me?" And I'd say, "Man, number one, reunite an old friendship. Number two, I want to tell your story." And it was just great reuniting with those guys and listening to their perspective on what we did for them, how we made a difference in their brand with that one thing. And if you read my book, it's that one thing.
Right.
What is that one? Because people will only give you one mind space. I don't care if you're an architecture firm. I'm going to talk today because I know your audience is professional service, and I did a lot of consulting in that world. I'm going to focus on answers geared towards professional services. So I don't mean to leave out consumer packaged goods or ball clubs or whatever else, but I'm going to focus on professional service. You find that one thing, and when you're a law firm, when you're an engineering firm, I would put out that's far more difficult than differentiating in differentiating yourselves than it is in the packaged goods world.
Yeah, for sure.
A soft drink, whatever. To me, those are easy. Those are walks in the park. Separating your identity and defining yourself, that one thing that people remember, because you're only going to get one thing in my brain. You may do 20 things. You may be great at 50 things. But guess what? They're only going to remember you for one thing. What is that one thing? So, love it. And
that's awesome.
Well, I know, talking about the book, one of the concepts that you have in the book, right, is the idea of brand off and then brand on.
Love it.
And those are very, very striking. Just wondering if can you unpack those, those terms a little bit and help us understand, what brand off and brand on, how you talk about those?
Absolutely. Love to. And, the on brand has been a term for, 15 years. We're on brand. We're not on brand. And I get that. Okay. I like to be a little more definitive and a little more direct. Got the brand on when my marketing professor walked in to my first marketing class, my sophomore year, and he's reading the roll. And he's literally reading the roll, and he goes, "Brand on Coleman." Now, in the 70s, guys, and neither of y'all were probably born yet, there was no brand. I mean, yes, Madison Avenue and those people, Campbell's Soup was a brand. It didn't go much deeper than that. Brand did not become a big thing until mid to late 90s, and then 2000, the internet blowing up. Then brand became amazing. Brand wasn't even in my marketing textbook.
Right.
And he goes, "Brand on Coleman." And I'll never forget, he was an essay prof. He was about 68. I thought, "You old fart, what do you know?" And I took an essay quiz from him. I didn't show up at many classes. I took the essay quiz. I thought, "Well, bullshit my way through this one. This will be easy." And I went 2 days later to pick up my test on the front. It said, "F, if you think you're going to bullshit your way through my class, you're wrong." We became lifelong friends. He treated me like a son, and we became lifelong friends. And his family asked me to give the eulogy when he died at 93 years old.
Wow.
And it was just an amazing deal because we rebranded our firm. Our original firm was named Coleman and Coleman, which was just kind of a professional service firm approach. My brother was a graphics director. But later on, as we started helping lead along with the Ogilvies and the big boys, we were more a medium player. But we started really leading brand and brand strategy. And so we renamed ourselves Brand Imagination. And that's when brand started becoming big. It really started becoming big. So here I go. I'm 30 years, 40 years later, I'm going to write the book. Well, I'm going to dedicate it to that professor. Number one, he called me brand on day one. That's what I'm calling the book. So that's how it gets its name. So when something is brand on, this is in the book, but let's start here, guys. And if you are an architect or an engineer, I know you know everything, but just listen to this. This is the one piece I want you to get off your pedestal and listen to. One.
This is for you, Carl.
I'm hearing that.
Here's a definition. Here's a definition of brand. You can Google this all day long and get all kind of definitions, which technically they define brand. But here's the best one, and I wrote it in 1981. A brand is a promise wrapped in a delivery.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Now, everybody wants to complicate brand. There are 57 brand vernacular. Brand this, brand that, brand this, brand that, brand this, brand. This generation, last generation, has worn it out. They're almost meaningless now. Brand architecture, brand archetype, brand this, brand that. It's over the top. And it's confused so many business owners, especially in the professional service field. So if a brand is a promise wrapped in a delivery, what is brand alignment, right? What is brand alignment? And brand alignment is when all of those customer interactions align with your brand, align with your promise. When they all align with that promise, then you're batting 1,000 and you're killing it. And it ties in with what your show is all about. It's a great show. It's that customer alignment, that client alignment, that service, that culture with your team and the brand. And they are all immersed together. And that's the only way you ever become brand on. Now, your easy formula for you formulaic types out there, engineers, listen up. CX equals CEXP. CX equals CEXP. Customer experience equals customer perceptions, expectations. Customer experience equals customer expectation. When your client service equals your client expectations, you're in brand alignment. Now, you're not brand on unless you exceed that.
Right.
When you exceed it, when you deliver the wow, when you surprise, when you inspire by being more than their expectation, that's brand on. But just brand alignment's good enough. It's good enough. But if you want to be great, you get brand on. So brand on is when those things are in alignment. Brand off is when you're that fried chicken place that I went to all my life, starts frying frickin' fish.
Yep.
And I walk in there and I go, whoa, what is wrong with this place? I'm coming in here for your amazing fried chicken. You're frying fish. Well, we found out not everybody here wants to eat chicken. Well, tell them to go to a damn fish house. I know you don't fry it in the same grease. I know you don't fry it in the same grease, but I think you do because I smell it. And never went back. And I spent thousands of dollars with those guys, catering and whatever else. No more chicken from them. But it's that simple, guys. And it's same in architecture, same in engineering, same in accounting firms, same in law firms. When I don't care whether it's an admin or a receptionist or the way your social's set up or your website, when your vernacular, the way your people talk, the way they deliver, it's all got to be in alignment. Now, can you be successful without that? Absolutely. The clients that came to me, the hundreds of clients I dealt with, they weren't failing, most of them. I had some failures come to me and say, hey, we're dying. We need your help. Most of them were already successful, but they knew something was missing. That's what most of my clients look like. Hey, we're doing good. We're making money. We don't need that. Oh, yeah, you do. Because you're missing the big picture. You're not nailing it. Because if you nail it, you could be 3X, 10X, maybe 25X what you're doing. Because that one thing, that brand in alignment, being brand on instead of brand off, is critical.
Yeah. Yeah. What I like about that too, Brandon, you did it in the book, is that it's such a simple graphic thing too. It's like the little math equation, right? And all you got to do is change the greater than, less than, and the equal sign, and you kind of it's a great reminder. So that really landed with me. So
thanks. We got a tool in the book, Jerry, that if you buy the book, and trust me, authors don't make money unless you're Rick Warren, Oprah, Michael Jordan. I mean, you ain't gonna make money. Nobody gives it. You know what? Yeah, if you're out promoting and you spend hundreds of thousands promoting and you got a big agency, whatever, and you got a team promote, you can make a lot of money. I'm losing my tail on the book, and we're a bestseller, by the way. we're a bestseller. I got a podcast, The Brand On Show, and we're losing an awful lot of money doing this. But I didn't do it for money.
Right.
Okay, I didn't do it for money. So an author doesn't make money. How do we get into that? What was I trying to tell you? Oh boy, I lost that one. That's okay. You don't.
Well, Jerry, that's some advice for you, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, are you writing a book, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm writing a book. I know I'm not going to make any money either.
Well, it absolutely
Not the
doesn't,
point.
and we'll talk off the record because I could save you some disasters that we encounter. The publishing world right now is a grueling world. What was the question, Jerry? Do you remember what you asked me before that?
Well, I think Carl was just following up on the brand on, brand off, and the formula that's in that you have in the book.
Okay, and I went to the tools. If you buy the book, okay, there is a QR code in there, and if you go to it, it will unlock 2 tools that a lot of you couldn't afford to buy. One of them is a 50-year developed questionnaire that is still modern and I keep up with it monthly. It is the first 200 questions. The first 200 questions I ask any business leader to start their brand alignment project. Okay. That will give you a hint of whether you're brand on or brand off. The other one, and that's called the brain drain. The brain drain, 200 questions, free, no charge. The other one is a brand alignment checklist. It is very simple. I'm all about simplicity. It has a number of items on it in categories. I don't care what kind of business you have. And you can put it, I don't care whether you put it on a clipboard, put it on your iPhone, and walk your business, walk it from the customer's perspective, from start to finish by my checklist, and check the boxes, one or two, one or two, one or two. And you'll be able to look at it yourself without hiring me for a lot of money and say, wow, I'm brand off, or wow, I'm brand on. Don't need that guy. Don't need that book, whatever. But there's 2 free tools that are absolutely invaluable that anyone can use.
That's great. We'll be sure to link to those in the show notes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Brandon, essentially what you're talking about is one of the things that we talk about a lot, which is how internal behavior is really what's driving that customer experience. And if that equals the customer perception, obviously, then you're in brand alignment. So when you have worked with different businesses and when you think about behavior, what does that look like in practice, especially if we're thinking about professional service type organizations like the architects and engineers that we often are talking to?
Well, it's a good question. It's a huge question. It's a very open-ended question because I might answer that differently for an accounting firm versus an engineering firm versus an architecture firm. I might answer it 3 different ways in the architecture world when it depends on, are you commercial? Are you residential? Do you specialize in A, B, C, D, or E? And then that changes, right? And then that's why it's hard, or not hard, excuse me. That's why it's critical to know your purpose. Okay, know your purpose. A lot of people, well, I don't need the purpose. I got the stripe. No, you do. You need to know why you get up every day. What really drives you? That's why I wore this cap. Okay, truth.
Right.
The number one thing you're going to ask me at the end of the show, what's the number one thing someone could take away from this? And I will answer truth. If you run your business from a place of truth, you will be far more successful. It'll be far easier to create a brand, far easier to align a brand, far easier to deliver it.
Right.
And then your team is able to deliver it. But when you have that truth from your firm, when you have that truth, then your people have to align to it, or they stick out like a sore thumb. Right. And I'm man, because I come from a coach who, by the way, if you didn't fit in with his scheme, or if you were lazy in practice, or you just didn't have what it took, or you weren't fast enough, boom, he cut you.
Right.
It's like he didn't hold hands, sing kumbaya. He had one purpose: go win the championship. Period. Because that raised great young men, and he didn't want somebody dragging that ship down. I remember one guy he cut was very upset at him. The guy couldn't play basketball, but he did go on to become the chairman and inventor and creator of Whole Foods, worth billions of dollars. I'm sure he would tell you that coach upset me so much, it drove me to success. So I cut an employee in a heartbeat. And this day and time, that you have to be careful doing that. That doesn't float well with a lot of the softies, if you'll excuse me, that don't deliver. And I'm all about execution and performance. So I expect my teams to deliver, but before in my professional service firm, and I hired a lot of Anderson Consulting, Accenture people. I would hire them away because our brand strategy firm had true strategists and true creatives that blended. We weren't just an ad agency, and we weren't just a consulting firm. We blended them to bring best solutions to all of them. I mean, many times our answers were, hey, stop advertising for a few months because you're delivering the wrong message, so you're just wasting money.
Right.
So not many ad agencies say stop advertising. So, but we would do that. But to bring these kind of high caliber people in, I had to show them that I was willing to do anything, get there early, make coffee, do the things I was asking them to do, not those things, but other things, business-wise, and at the same time, show them the utmost respect for what they were great at, and building up everybody's strengths, trying to minimize their weaknesses unless they became so much that you just needed to get rid of them. But usually it was about building people up when they were really good and trying to make them great, and creating a culture of excellence. I really fight this culture war. And the big corps can't listen to me. They just have too many people. They have to deal politically. They have to deal. I won't even get into it right now, especially after some of the things that have happened in our country this week. I won't even get into it. But in a small business or a professional service firm, I don't think you ought to settle for anything less than excellence.
Mm.
and then you drive towards excellence. And it'll be readily evident when someone isn't excellent or isn't great at doing what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. That's a good point. It kind of makes me think about the topic of being disconnected sometimes too. There are times when companies will be disconnected between what they say their brand is and what they are actually doing. Do you see like this is the number one thing that I see happening, that is a disconnect that I see all the time that companies make?
Every day,
Yeah.
all day, every day. And I know we weren't going to talk consumer, but it's so current. Hello, Cracker Barrel. Disconnect and boom. Bud
What do you
Light,
think?
disconnect and boom. How
Yeah, what do you
stupid.
think causes that? What do you think causes that disconnect?
Well, you know what's even
Mm.
amazing? You know what I've heard? I can't verify this, but I'm pretty sure my source is accurate. They actually have a marketing guru. I'd even say the guy's almost at my level, maybe even better, that's on their board, who saw this thing coming and wrote all of the board a letter and said, "Don't do this. This is a huge mistake." Now, you got a guru on your board.
Hmm.
Supposedly, the guy who pushed it had more stock.
Mm.
Just what I heard.
Yeah.
Marketing guru said, "Don't do this. You'll destroy what built us." And they ignored him.
Right.
And boy,
Mm.
did they take it on the chin, huh? But same thing happens in service firms all day long.
Yeah.
If you're, is your deal value? Is your deal, are you the most expensive in the industry? Then you better look and deliver like it. Are you the quickest? Are you the fastest? Are you the cheapest? Are you the best? What makes you great? That's the question I love to ask when I sit in a room with somebody and they go, "Hi, my name's Brandon, and we've heard you're good, so we're going to hire you. And we want to talk about, do you have anything you want to ask us?" "Yeah, I just got one question. What makes you great?"
Yeah.
And ask that question with 2 or 3 leaders of a professional service firm and watch them stumble over each other.
Right.
And watch
Yeah.
them start talking about their history and their longevity. Bullshit. What's the one thing that makes you great?
Right.
What do your clients know you? Well, shit, we're the fastest, or we're better adept at urban settings, or okay, fine. There you go. There's a
Okay.
starting spot. You're urban. You're not going to build my ranch, but you're urban. Let's talk
Right.
urban. Now, what kind of urban? Are you social urban? And you get into and you drill and you get them to tell the truth. I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I got in trouble in meetings because I would push the CEO or the CMO or COO to the truth. And sometimes that pisses them off. I had one company, only once did I get thrown out of. Only once. And I loved it because I was spot on in what I was telling them. And they weren't going to correct the problem. They paid me $250,000 to go figure out unless they dealt with the truth. And it was a family-run business. And I had to call out one of the guys and go, "You're soaking the family. Here's how."
Right.
And CEO, who loved me, called me aside, goes, "Hey, look, after that meeting, man, I got you. Let's just end this deal. I don't want to create a war." Fine. You're not going to solve your problems.
Yeah.
That guy hated my guts. We happen to be located in their office building, by the way. Yeah.
Awkward.
And they're a big, giant developer. And that guy, every time I'd see that guy in the hall, I'd do a quick 180. I'd go the other way. He hated my guts for a solid 5 years. And it was 5, 6 years later. And I'm at a gas station in Houston. And this guy pulls up right at the pump next to me, gets out of his car, and it looked like he had seen a ghost. And I thought, "Oh, shit, make sure he doesn't have a gun. We are in Texas. Make sure he's not going to." He goes, "Hey, Coleman." I went, No. What?" He goes, I need to talk to you. And he comes over to the gas pump, and I shook his hand. And he goes, "I owe you an apology." I said, "What for?" He goes, for getting your ass thrown off the project. He said, "You were dead right. And until we addressed that and moved past it, we weren't successful, but now we're killing it. Now we're killing it."
Yeah.
And I say, "Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I want you to know it wasn't personal. Wasn't personal." And it was great. We were friends ever since. But sometimes it's that difficult, especially in the professional service firms, because when you're in the professional service firm business, your assets go up and down the elevator.
Right.
They're not inventoried. They're not
That's
sitting
true.
on a shelf. They're not made out of concrete. They're going up and down the elevator. So they're in people's minds, brain, their spirit, their inspiration or lack thereof.
Right.
So you have to be spot on. You have to be truthful when you're in the professional service business, and you have to deal with it. And if the CEO is not dealing with it, even if y'all are successful and you're making 80% of your potential, how much would it mean to your bottom line if you made 100% of your potential?
Right. Yeah.
Hope that's helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Brandon, in your
Oh, yeah.
book, one of the examples that you give, and this is not a professional services company, but Buc-ee's, they've built some brand promises, and that they intend to keep, and it's different, and the way it used to be, like stopping at a gas station for a restroom break or whatever. They sort of promised a different experience, and they've built their brand around that. Maybe you can talk about a little bit about, on the positive side, what that is, and then if they by chance didn't do it, if they disconnected, what would happen?
Well, Carl, it's a good one, and I got to tell you, I probably can't answer the latter part of that question because Beaver Applin and the guys that run Buc-ee's that own it, they're amazing, and they just, I've been there 1,000 times. They don't miss. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean they just don't miss. But let me ask you. Let me return the part of question one to you. Have you been to a Buc-ee's?
Yes.
Okay, what does it mean to you?
Well, it definitely means the promise of cleanliness and consistency.
Oh,
Um, the promise of like the food's going to be better there than it is if I stop somewhere else down the road. Um, and I've been to 3 of them in 3 different places, and the experience was exactly the same.
their culture and their training and their
Yeah.
people and the lights and the brightness and the cleanliness and all that's good,
Yeah.
but that's not how they built their business. They did their homework. So he started at a little bitty, it's a pissant part of Texas called Clute.
Mhm.
It's down south of Houston, Clute, Lake Jackson area. And he had a little corner grocery store. I mean, not grocery store, a little convenience store, a couple of gas pumps. Did his little deal, served the little warm nuts, but the place was whatever it was, 1,000, 1,200 feet.
Mhm.
And he had run that successfully. And he goes like, and he's a small town guy, smart guy. And he's like, this could be bigger. And he made a 2,000 foot one. It's like, whoa, man, what are you doing? You crazy? This is too much overhead, 2,000 feet. I think the latest one they built was 48,000 feet or something.
Yeah.
But one thing drove it. He realized over time, people weren't stopping for gas.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That was number 2. People stopped to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And especially the ones on the highway.
Mhm.
People stopped to go to the bathroom. And oh, by the way, it's convenient. Let's get gas. Oh, by the way, they got food hanging on the shelves. Let's get food. And now here you are years and years and years later, and they've taken that to a whole new culinary height, and they're chopping fresh barbecue. And every time they pull a brisket off the smoker and cut it on the big wooden block out there in front of everybody, they go, meat on or whatever it is, and whack, and they're yelling and cutting barbecue.
Yep.
And they got a candy store, and they got a small department store in there with toys and
Right.
clothes and
Right.
housewares, but the whole thing was built on one thing, and that was the commode.
Mhm.
Okay, one of his very first billboards, and they used one media format to build that business. Wasn't social media; it was billboards.
Yeah.
And all they did is they had the beaver. The cool logo is beaver, big bright red and yellow beaver.
Mhm.
The circle, and all it said is you can hold it. And it drew enough. Oh wow. And then they move on to things like your throne awaits. It was all about the potty. Because what in our days when we traveled, guys, before you ever saw a Buc-ee's, what were most gas station restrooms like?
Right.
Not pleasant.
You would rather find a tree on the roadside than go in most gas station restrooms. He took that one little observation, and you could do this in any professional service firm. Find that one observation, that one hole in the industry. What are they not thinking of? What are they
Right.
not delivering? And if he would have had a consultant in there, they'd have probably told him he was nuts.
Mhm. Mhm.
They put 50, 60, 100 commodes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they got 3 or 4 full-time employees in the bathroom.
Right.
As soon as you get up, they cleaning it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just sparkling. And you know you can go there, your restroom's gonna be immaculate. Oh, by the way, amazing barbecue. I don't get out of Buc-ee's without spending $200 plus my gas,
Right.
if I needed any gas, you know, if I needed any gas. But everything they do is in alignment. From the moment you pull to the gas pump, to the way the wording is on the gas pump, to the colors, to entering the store, and they welcome you and they greet you and they thank you when you leave, and everything in between is clean. If you have an issue, grab one of their employees; they will be all over it. And I have tried to have a negative experience at Buc-ee's. Beaver's a good friend, acquaintance. He's a graduate of Texas A&M University, like I am. I've been on the College of Business board for 25 years. I'm outstanding alumni of the school. He is an amazing alumni of the school. Know him well. I've tried to find a failure for him. I would love to be able to call Beaver and go, "Hey, Beaver, y'all are missing on one part of your brand." And I didn't build that brand. By the way, guys, I did not build that brand. I told that story because it's probably the best branding story there is. They are in such perfect alignment. They've done that on their own. They have done a phenomenal job. Great placement. Your marketing firm, your service firm, your architecture firm, just find that one thing. Find where others aren't hitting that gap. Don't just be like everybody else, especially if you're if you're a law firm and we're do we cheat them and how. Make sure you've got a name that's memorable. If not, how. And for God's sake, try not to don't use acronyms. And don't just use initials unless you're powerfully paying those initials. Most people only remember 3 initials. You know, AT&T, IBM, right? Why?
Right.
Not because they're great letters, but because they have spent billions of dollars in marketing.
Yeah. Burning it into your brain.
Find that one thing that sticks when you name or you brand yourself and align with it. Anyway, Bucky's a great example, Carl. Thanks for bringing that up. Beaver's good people. They're great at what they do. Great brand alignment. Everywhere you go, everything they do is just perfect. Literally.
Is there maybe an in for us to have them on our show?
You know, I don't know. I haven't had him on my show yet, so we'll figure that out. I'm not long from reaching out for him. Our show just hit its 1-year episode, first year.
Nice.
Last week. And so I got a lot of improvement to do, guys, but I've had some great people on. I had the chairman of Lovesac. I've had the former chairman of 7-Eleven. Lovesac started in the back of a pickup truck building one stuffed beanbag sofa. He now has 300 retail locations and almost $1 billion brand, right? So I love those small guys, and I love the guy like 7-Eleven who they were small. And, I mean, like I got 83,000 of them now. Well, no, that's corporate now, but love the story. And I love the one-offs. I love the one little guy that runs a coffee shop that couldn't figure out what was going on. There's just one thing you guys need to do, no matter what form of the service world you're in. If you're a listener, I encourage you today, just stop, take the day off, or maybe tomorrow morning, take the day off and tell all your associates you're going to walk through your client's journey.
Yeah.
And you go figure out, where's that starting? Is it social media? Is it a referral? Is it your building location and you're on a freeway, you got a big name? Where do they first find out about you?
Yeah.
And from that moment forward, trace that customer journey, walk those client steps.
Yeah.
Take that checklist in the back of my book and go through it and say, are we in alignment? Walk the whole thing and listen to and our customers always right no, but they're always your customer.
Yeah.
Our clients always right no, but they're always your client. So at least listen to them.
Yeah.
Don't do focus groups. Agree with your last guest. They don't work.
Yeah.
They work for certain things, but very few and far between. Don't do focus groups. Spend time listening to your clients. Ask them, but get them in an atmosphere where you listen to them. That's why, the old school days of going out and having a drink with a client after business is over. That's where you learn so much.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating drinking, but going out and having breakfast with them. Get away from the office, get away from the meeting setting, get away from the damn Zoom calls.
Yeah.
And talk and find out and listen to them. If they go, hey, we really don't like the way you do this, and it. We don't like your billing. We love you guys, but every time your bill shows up, it pisses us off. Trust me, I've seen that. There was a great healthcare clinic that we did a lot of work for. They were a client for 18 years. Great healthcare clinic. And they were one of the largest internal medicine clinics in the country. Had over 80 docs, just internal medicine. They didn't have any other specialty, just internal medicine. And they were downtown in the famous Texas Medical Center. And they were in an older building, high rise, but the parking garage, I mean, it was like, you better not have a dually pickup truck because you're not going to fit. And your car better be narrow, and you better be steering straight when you go up those ramps of 18 floors to park, because you're going to curb your wheel, curb your tires, and the parking spaces are tiny. It was old school. So it was really bad. When I presented to their group of physicians, there were 81 physicians in the room and 200 employees. I said, we need to hire a proctologist. And they said, why? They said, because your parking's a pain in the ass. And they go, we didn't hire you to talk about our parking. I said, I know, that's why I'm talking about it. And we help them understand that it's like on the front end. How many medical deals have you gone in? Back in the old school days, not many people do it anymore. But I guarantee the 80s, the 90s, they did it. You go in and there's a frosted window shut in front of you, and you slide the little window back and you look at it, you're like, what the hell do you want?
Right.
Go sit down, fill out this 20-page form and sit down. Oh, that's fun. And then you go do that. And while you wait, there are some 10 and 15-year-old magazines you can read. And it's just a horrible, horrible process. Most all medical practices have done away with that. We were part of that. We were the first firm to ever talk to someone in healthcare and say, how about valet parking? They're like, you're full of. No, we need to add valet parking. People get here, they're sick, they're ill, they hurt, they're in pain. They need to be able to drop a car off, not screw with your parking garage.
Yeah.
They're going in the hospital. They're going to a clinic. It is not a good day for them.
Yeah,
It is not a good day.
It's interesting. What you're talking about is thinking about all the elements of the customer experience that aren't necessarily the core part of the business. And I think in professional services, as we're talking with architects and engineers, there's a lot of focus on, we deliver good engineering, we deliver great design, but not necessarily as much attention paid to all the things that go around that, all of the rest of the experience. Because I think those doctors in the 80s and 90s would have said, well, we're providing great medical care. And arguably they were.
Jerry, that is a spot on observation. And again, you professional service people, listen to this. Pay attention to what he said because you're doing it. And guess what? Great medical care, great engineering, great architecture, great legal services. Those are entry fees. Those are givens. Those are not brand promises. Those aren't exceptional products. Do you do great work? Awesome. Great. Yeah. Now let's leverage it. If you don't do good work, you're probably not in business anyway. If you do crap work, you're probably not, you're done.
Right.
But that's not what it's about. You're so right, Jerry. You're right on the money. Yeah. It is about all those ancillary things that as a client, I'm perceiving them, even though you're not thinking about delivering them.
Right.
You're not in tune with that because you're just not looking at all of your business. And let me tell you this, and I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. The people in charge of their marketing, no matter, it can be a 5-person group or a 500-person group. Many of the people in charge of their marketing aren't attuned to that either.
Right. Yeah, they're thinking about something from a different angle.
Yeah.
You just talked about, sitting with the customer, getting them outside of the usual flow of the business, listening to the things that they tell you. And I think that, that uncovers a lot of things about the experience that they're having with your organization. But as you're trying to find that truth, and I want to bring it back full circle to the hat and the truth, because we love that word too. Sometimes, the client, the customer, the consumer doesn't actually know what it is that they need differently from you as an organization. If you could give one piece of advice to, a marketing person or to a principal in a firm who needs to find that thing, needs to pull it out of their customer, their client, and find something that they can, have a unique point of view that can be part of that authentic truth for them, what would you tell them?
Well, again, depending on the size of the firm, if you're assuming a partner level guy
sure
wants to really know, whatever your deal is, hunting, fishing, golf, culinary experiences, whatever you love to do. Go through your client list and take 2 of your top clients, 2 of your middle clients, and 2 of your bottom clients, all separate and individually.
Mhm.
Take them out to do whatever it is you enjoy doing or they enjoy doing, and just listen to them. And with that
Mm.
cross-section, you'll get everything you need. But you've got to have that time with them.
Yeah.
Nothing, you could do a focus group all day long. You can do a shop along all day long. You can do written surveys. You can do online stuff. You can do SurveyMonkey. You can do that stuff all day long. And you'll get a general vicinity of where you are.
Mhm.
But if you really want to know their heart, spend time with them.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the old commercial. I mean, it's really old, so forgive the old schoolness. Can't even remember, tell you who it is. I believe it was United Airlines is who I believe back in the day, way back when. But I love the commercial. A guy, a small, mid-level professional service firm, a partner-level guy, calls 8 of his employees in the room, and they're all standing there in the lobby. He said, "Don't sit down. This meeting won't last long. We've lost over half our business or whatever. We've lost 45% of our business." And he's standing there holding 8 airline tickets.
Mm.
And he says, "And I've tried to figure out what it is, and I can't. So here's an airline ticket for each of you to the city of your biggest client. And I want you to get on a plane and go shake their hand and thank them for their business."
Wow.
And just mind-numbing. As a matter of fact, here's a great service business story, okay? I'm
Yeah.
not gonna give you the name of the company, but it was a caterer in a small town. This isn't for you big business people. This guy had 10 employees, probably did, call it $3 million a year, maybe $4 million a year, catering. Kind of a country fella.
Mhm.
Uh, we had developed he was a friend at the time, and we developed a logo and a brand that was just amazing for the guy. We did it because we loved his food, and he gave us some free food, so we like, "Okay, we'll help you." Knocked it out of the park early on. He calls me, 15 years later. We're dying. Our company's I said, "How are you dying?" He was in a mid-sized market. Everybody in the market knew him. He catered for the football teams. He did everything. Everybody knew, but competition had moved in, and he didn't make any changes. He just grew. I'm growing. Add more people, add more kitchen space, add more vans, but not thinking through the growth
Right.
and not appreciating the growth. And I think one of the things professional service owners need to do more of is not take their business for granted. Don't
Mhm.
take clients for granted. Don't take clients for granted. So this guy calls me and I said, "I'm happy to go see you." So I came, I said, "But you got to feed me lunch. That's your fee. Got to feed me lunch." So he fed me and I'm like, "Oh, I love your food." He goes, "Here's what's happening. Da, 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 da. Our business is attritioning away. Other people, other competitors are taking it. So-and-so fired us. Said we weren't delivering at the level we did. Blah, 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 blah." So yeah, I think this is in the book. Yeah, it is. We tell him, "When is the last time you went out and told your clients thank you?"
Mm.
He said, "We
Mhm.
thank people on every job." I said, "No, no, 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 no. Not the guy, not Julio and Maria when you send them out and Susie and they clean up the last bit of the barbecue and say, 'Thank you for your business,' and leave. And
Yeah.
not 'Thank you for your business' stamped on an invoice or on your website. We appreciate our customer." A bunch of bullshit. Nobody believes that. You gotta make them believe it. So here's your game plan. I looked at it. I looked at the breakdown of it. I said, "Give me your top 50 clients. Show me how your clients rank by revenue."
Mhm.
Okay. When I saw the monetary break, I said, "We're gonna take 20 of them, and I want you to take an apron. Let's take an apron. Let's buy some white aprons and put your logo," because his logo was funny. His logo was fun. Everybody loved his logo. It was his face and his real weird haircut he had. And everybody loved it. So and it was on the side of the vans, on the stores. Said, "Let's do this. Buy 20 white aprons, put your big colorful logo in the center of them, get them gift wrapped in your company colors with a bow, and I want you to go visit your top 20 clients unannounced. Unannounced. All the secretaries know you. They all love you. You'll get in every door, knock on the door, and when she says, 'How can I help you?' 'I'd like to see Joe, and thank you for the business.'" And they called Joe out. You give Joe that box, and if the secretary says, "Well, Joe's not available right now, you just wanna leave that?" You say, "No, I'll come back."
Mm.
And you hand Joe that box and say, "Joe," they go, "What are you doing here, blank?" He goes, "I'm just here for one reason. I'm here to say thank you. Appreciate all you've ever done for us, and it's a little token of our appreciation, not anything big, but just wanna say thanks." And if they say, "Hey, man, let's talk about the next catering job," you say, "You know what? That's not why I'm here. I'm not gonna sell anything, but I'll come back anytime you want me to. Let's set a meeting time, but today, I am just here to say thank you."
Hmm.
And leave, get out of there. And he did that. He did that. He tripled his business in 90 days
Wow.
Wow.
and has been
That's
taken
yeah.
off ever since. Okay? And what that does is it puts a wedge between you and your competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says our one thing is being, do they make great food? Hell yeah, you better, or you're not in business long.
Yeah.
Gratitude was
Yeah.
their power
So-
angle. Gratitude was their power angle. It slayed them. Something
Yeah.
that simple.
And that's a great story. I mean, that's awesome. And I feel like a lot of times, especially when we deal with professional services, and we're probably guilty of it too as architects. We love to photograph our work. We love to create, these coffee table books of what all we do and sort of, put all that out there. And we'll spend, hours, do we have the right picture? Have we got the right angle? At the end of the day, kind of what you're saying is that, well, that's all fine and good. You're just sort of, you're almost archiving it for your own benefit. You really just need to get out of the office, and rather than trying to do the perfect photograph, you need to do the perfect handshake, right?
Mm.
Yeah, totally agree. And if you're
That's kind
doing
of
that book, if
interesting.
you're doing that book just for your client's project, he just spent 20 million with you or whatever, and you're building that book for them to give them, that's great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're building a book about yourself. The dumbest thing I've ever seen in marketing in my life, and I see it over and over and over and over for 50 years.
I hope we don't do it. What?
If you do, I apologize in advance. Are service companies or any company that gives their clients a promotional item as a thank you or a gift. Let
Mm.
me give you something with my logo on it, or my work, or my pictures, or my team. I'm giving you a ABC mug because we thank you for doing business with ABC, and you're giving me an ABC mug. That looks like you're promoting yourself to me. That's not a gratitude piece.
Mm.
Mhm.
If it's gratitude, don't put your damn logo on it. If it's truly gratitude, right? If it's truly gratitude, now this was different with an apron. I know I'm contradicting myself there. It was different with an apron because it was a fun piece. It had
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
If your
And it was
logo's
useful.
if your logo's fun, you got
Mhm.
some weird drunk looking duck on it, and everybody loves your drunk duck, then give them a logo with a drunk duck. But if
Yeah.
it's a monochrome corporate logo, for God's sake, don't put it on something to say thank you. Make the thank you about them, about
Right.
that person.
Yeah.
One thing we did every year, you could turn the question, go, "Well, Coleman, you're so damn good at it. What'd your firm do for gifts? What'd your firm do as thank yous?"
I'm taking
I
notes.
spent a lot of time every year.
Yeah.
I would go out and hand select we would have an average of 35 to 40 clients a year.
Mhm.
I would go out and literally shop for and hand select every single gift. There
Mhm.
wasn't no 5-pound bag of pecans going to all 40 clients.
Mhm.
There wasn't some barbecued brisket going to all 40 clients. I made sure our gift for our client, whether it was Christmas time or whether it was a thank you, was meaningful and for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proved that I listened enough and cared enough about them and thought about them and took time out of my day to think about them. I'll tell you a great story. I'm at world famous Canyon Ranch, Tucson, Arizona, and I'm on a big hike up in the Catalina Mountains. And you never know who's going to get in the van, right? And I mean, literally, one day I hiked with Diana Ross. One day, you get these amazing people.
Mhm.
Well, I get this guy, big Russian guy, and his wife. Come to find out, he was a gazillionaire, had been on Time Magazine recently, or Forbes,
Mm.
or Fortune, or whatever.
Mhm.
And his wife was a physician. So brilliant people. And it was very funny. You just wanted to have a vodka with the guy because he talked just like this. And so we're getting to know each other as we start the hike out. We get a third of the way up the mountain. And it was funny because I don't even remember how I got there, but my wife said, "Well, tell him kind of how you think about da da da." And I said, "Well, I don't think there's such thing as I know how it happened. His wife goes, Boris was a self-made man. He created his fortune. Boris. And I said, ma'am, there's no such thing as a self-made man. And I knew I was igniting dynamite, but I wanted to. I said, there's no such thing as a self-made. Oh, bullshit. Boris is the best. He created this. He started nothing. He was a waiter at tables. I'm like, Boris, are you a self-made man? Absolutely. I did this. I did that. I did this. I did that. I said, great. Who was your first customer? Oh, Joe did this, and Joe, he believed in me. I said, he did what? He believed in me, so he gave me a chance. I said, okay. So you're not self-made.
Mm-hmm.
How about Joe? How about Joe? Did he believe in you?
Yeah.
Have you ever thanked him for that? Oh, yes, we told Joe. Okay. Who was your second customer? Who was the guy that helped build? And you start asking all these questions. Well, I still think you're full of shit. Boris is self-made. He was on Forbes magazine. Boris is self-made. And I would tell different stories. I said, well, I built a firm, and I started with me, myself, and I, and ended up with a big group. But yeah, I was never self-made. For me, this is me, my Savior, Jesus. He made me, number one. He is my CEO. Number two, there's been so many people along the way who have given me a leg up, who have given me an opportunity, who have corrected me, who have helped me, who have sacrificed for me. Nobody's self-made. So Boris argues with me halfway up the mountain. We get all the way up and then all the way down. And finally, the van ride, we're almost back to Canyon Ranch. And Boris goes, hey, Coleman, I've thought about it. You're right. I was not self-made. Thank you. That was it. But so ask yourself, if you're running a professional service firm and your name's up on the wall and you're making $10 million a year, $5 million a year, $100,000 a year, you think you're king? You ask yourself, are you self-made? Did you do it yourself?
Yeah.
And if not, go thank those people who helped you.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
I think that's the best part of branding you can ever do. The rest of it, the logos, the ads, all that, to me, that stuff's easy. The creative, the graphics, how do we say what we're supposed to say? Get the right words. Get back into the heart. Brand from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's good advice.
I mean, there's so many pieces of great advice we've had today, and again, the book is full of so many great examples and sort of takeaways. If we are sort of kind of pulling it all kind of back together again as we kind of wrap up, what would you say is the one thing that you want people to take away from today's conversation about Brand On?
It'd be this picture. Get on to Amazon and get one. Amazon bestseller, Brand On. Go to the Brand On show. I think you would enjoy it. I like these guys. I get after truth. I talk to people. My podcasts are pretty short, usually in the 20 to 30 minute range at the outside, sometimes 10, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. But not to be simplistic or to beat a dead horse, but truth. Because if you're going to find that one thing, you got to be honest. Look at Bucky. Did you really want to talk about the shitter? Is that really what's going to make our company great? Is the commode?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Let's talk about that nasty bathroom. Let's go in there where other competitors don't want to go. What is that sacred space? What is that thing they're missing? Because they're looking at it from this angle. Turn it around. That's usually the best value that outside counsel, someone like myself, that's usually the best value they offer. Is that I can see the forest for the trees. I'm coming from the outside in. I can say things your people can't say to you, and those are huge value because sometimes usually that's where the answers lie. I would say the number one thing I hear back from clients when I come to them with the solution, the one thing is they go, well, damn, that was easy. Well, not really.
Yeah.
You just couldn't see it because you're in it all day, every day.
Right.
And it looked easy, but it wasn't. Right. Yeah. But then they get it. And man, when they get it, it's like, remember Mel Gibson at the end of Braveheart? Freedom! It is freedom because once that entrepreneur, once that professional service firm leader knows that one thing, wow, it just unleashes a whole new vision and way to go to market. And you
Yeah.
go from being 80% of your best potential to 100.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I mean, I speak for Jerry and myself. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. Again, we've talked about a lot of great things. I can't wait to go back and listen to the podcast again and take notes. And also we appreciate that so much. We always ask our guests as we wrap up. We always ask them one final question. It's not hard. And we usually say, is there a book or is there a podcast that you recommend to our audience? Now, I know you may
I
recommend
was
your
gonna
book and your
say,
own podcast, so
I was
maybe
gonna
that's
say, it's that
maybe I
one
answered.
thing. It's Brandon, baby, the
There you go.
Brandon show.
So I think
Uh,
we answered the question
there
then.
you go. That's it, man. That is absolutely it. That is absolutely. Everybody likes to recommend the most current recent book and what's hot. Let me go back to the '80s and tell you one you should still read today.
Okay.
Great.
It changed my life. It is called The Paradox of Success.
Hmm.
Now, a little bit of it's outdated, but not much. The Paradox of Success. John R. O'Neill, President, California School of Psychiatry,
Awesome.
back in the day. And what I was reading, he interviewed people, successful people, but it wasn't about their successes; it was about their failures.
Mm.
And one day, my admin comes in the room at 3:30 in the afternoon, says, "Brandon, you okay?" I say, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "Well, I know you get in at 6 every morning, and when I came in at 8, I opened the door to tell you good morning. You were staring at the wall. You've had 2 of your team members come in trying to get you. I've buzzed you 11 times, and here it is, 3:30. You're still staring at the same wall. You haven't answered one of your calls or didn't address anybody who walked in your office." I went, "Oh," she said, "that ain't good." And she said, "Why don't you take a little time off?" I'm like, Okay. I'm 30 whatever years old. And back in the '80s, I didn't know what time off was. You didn't do that.
Mhm.
You didn't go away and sabbatical. Nobody
Right.
did back in those days.
Mhm.
And I, for some reason, went to Barnes& and Noble and it was a rainy day, got a cup of coffee, sat in the self-help section, started reading titles, go, "What sounds like my problem?" Like, yeah, you're going to self-assess at 30-something years old. What an idiot.
Mhm.
And for some reason, this book jumped out, The Paradox of Success. I thought, well, we've been successful early on. I started the company when I was 24. I was 30-ish something. I'm going, we're successful. What is the paradox? So I started reading it. I'm like, wow. I got to chapter 7 and it said, the power of the personal retreat.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what's a personal retreat? Now, nowadays, we all take time away. We yoga, Zen, meditate, whatever. But back then we didn't.
Mhm.
And so I'm reading it and it says every successful leader, especially entrepreneurs, need to take 1 week a year off by themselves.
Wow.
No wife, no client, no kids, no friends, by themselves. And I'm like, yeah, right. Nobody does that. We used, Texas, we go dove hunting or bass fishing, bring a buddy, bring the alcohol. Let's go. We're going to take some time away. Well, that's
Mhm.
really not about healing and soul searching. A lot of great times to talk about, but
Mhm.
that's not what makes you well. And so I read this thing and I'm like going, wow, that sounds amazing. And so I picked up the phone. I called the California School of Psychiatry and I got the administrative assistant on the phone. I said, I need to talk to John R. O'Neill. And she says, oh, yeah, like, right. Who are you? And I said, well, I'm CEO of an agency and blah, 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 blah. And I really need his help, ma'am. I've been staring at the wall all day. And I want you to know he picked up the phone.
Wow.
And we had about a 30-minute conversation. And I'm like, how do you do something like this? He said, well, I'm gonna recommend a place called Canyon Ranch, Tucson, Arizona. And come to find out it's a place where celebrities, athletes, business morons like myself, other people just go for mind, body, peace. There's no hype, no jewelry, no cell phones allowed. Well, back in the day there wasn't a cell phone, but no that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And you can do everything from hike to lift weights to work out, great food, amazing experience. And I said, okay, great. I'll go to Canyon Ranch. She said, well, you're not going to get in. I said, oh, not big enough, not good enough, not rich enough. What's the deal? He goes, no. It's got a 4-month wait list.
Hmm.
Like, oh man, I need help quicker than that. He goes, I know. He said, just hang up the phone, have your administrative assistant book you a flight to Tucson tomorrow. Go home and tell your wife you're leaving. She'll be happy. And you'll be back in a week. And I said, I trusted the guy. I said, okay, I'll do that. He said, okay, call me after you get back. So I booked the flight. I go home, tell my wife he was right. She goes, great, see ya. I get on a plane. I fly to Tucson. There's a guy waiting at the airport with a sign that says Brandon Coleman. I'm like, whoa, okay. And then they took me to Canyon Ranch. I get into my room, my luggage settled, the light's beeping on the phone. I pick it up. There's a message. Mel Zuckerman, the creator, the founder of Canyon Ranch, would like to see you in his office at 4:00. I'm like, am I already in trouble? I'm already going to the principal's office. I hadn't even been here a day.
Mm-hmm.
I go down, I get to talk to the founder, and he tells me how his father was dying and why he watched his father die on his deathbed, and how his father recommended no alcohol, no cigarettes, and create your life, commit your life to helping others with healthier lifestyles. So Mel thought about it for a long time and then went and bought a dude ranch, a cowboy dude ranch, and turned it into what has become the world's most famous spa retreat now for 40 years, give or take. And it changed my life. To take a week and to do things you don't normally do. I mean, you play basketball? Yeah, I play basketball and tennis. Good. Don't do either of those things. You ever done meditation? Meditation. You're kidding me, right? Yoga? Nah. I ended up in a yoga deal with Bette Midler. I'm like, what am I doing in here? It's stretch yourself. Do the things you're not comfortable. Do things you've never done. Well, now I do all that stuff. And it just changed my life and perspective. And boy, did it help my business. Year after year, I'd go every year for a week by myself. Ended up, I would have another week where I would take my top executives and we would go, and it just became a life changer. It became, so The Paradox of Success is a book with great insights into being a leader. It's old school, but it's still meaningful.
That's
Great.
awesome, Brandon.
All right.
Well, I echo Carl. Thank you so much for taking the time to be
Thank
with
you,
us. We'll have links to The Paradox of Success, your book, your podcast, all in the show notes. And I think that this conversation is going to be a real treat for our guests to listen to. So that wraps up another episode of The Intangible Brand. If you found value in today's conversation like we did, please take a moment to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us continue to bring insightful discussions to folks like you.
And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. It also helps others discover the show and join our community.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Feel free to leave us a review, share your feedback or your questions with us. You can reach us at hello@theintangible.brand.com. Tell us what you liked or what you'd like to hear next.
And you can connect with us also on LinkedIn, and again at the website, intangiblebrand.com. Again, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you for joining us on The Intangible Brand. And remember, the strongest brands are built on the experiences they create, both for their clients and their teams.